Good evening, my friends. The truck is currently running to keep the temperature up, so apologies if it's a little bit noisy in my microwave tripod situation. I also have to hold the door because we're sitting on an angle. And it's actually a balmy 30 degrees here in, I almost said Omaha. That's where I'm going to be in the morning. I was going to try to make it to Omaha. By the time I would have gotten to where I was going to stop, it would have been full. So I ended up stopping short in Shelby, Iowa. And it is just amazing how going from below zero temperatures to 30 degrees feels dramatically different. Like, oh, I almost don't even need a jacket. I just want to show you guys something cool real quick. I am going to make a video talking about recovery sometime soon, and I just keep putting it off because it's one of those things that for some reason I feel like it has to be exactly the right time. I have to know exactly what I want to say, and I don't know why it's like that. I think it's because I care a lot about that subject, and I really want to be thoughtful with how I present it, because different people have different approaches, and I don't want to alienate anyone. That's kind of my long story short on that. When I also kind of wanted to acknowledge dry January, because there are people who are not in recovery or don't have a desire to like quit drinking or dramatically change their lifestyle or whatever, but maybe they're taking a hiatus for whatever reason. Maybe the holidays, they went a little hard and they just want to take a break. That's cool. I love a good NA drink. I just emptied this, that's why I'm banging it on things and it's making a hollow noise. I love a good NA drink, and I'm amazed at how many more options there are now that so many more people are kind of embracing a lower alcohol or alcohol-free lifestyle, and this stuff is awesome. It has 0 alcohol, 0% alcohol, and it's basically like a take on a gin and tonic, which is a pretty easy, I think it's among the easier types of cocktails to imitate, because part of what makes the gin and tonic such a distinctive flavor profile is the tonic, the quinine. And I don't know if the quinine itself is a flavor component. I meant to look that up. Some bartender I am. I never claimed to be a mixologist. I was a beer and shot kind of bartender. I'm a high volume, fast bartender, not a fancy bartender. But this is basically, it's clever pink gin tonic from a botanical infusion distillate. They make it sound all fancy. It is kind of high in sugar. It's got like 20 grams of sugar in a can. But the ingredients are carbonated water, infused botanical extracts, including juniper berries, coriander seeds, cardamom seeds, sugar, natural flavors. Gotta love that euphemism. That means chemical flavor components that they get to call natural because... Anyway. Citric acid, purple carrot juice color, and quinine. It's so good. It's like, yeah, you can really smell like the cardamom. You can smell the way they describe it is this mocktail has all the floral and herbal notes found in a classic gin and tonic, plus a hint of blackcurrant flavor, bringing it to the next level. A truly clever cocktail. I think it's super tasty. It's actually like a pale pink color, so it looks nice in a glass. People who have had struggles with alcohol and maybe want like an alternative, not everybody can drink something that is imitating an alcoholic drink. For some people, that is just triggering and makes them want to drink alcohol. And what's funny for me is like, this is totally fine. I love a non-alcoholic beer, but I've discovered I cannot do the de-alcoholized wine. I tried that once and I was like, this just makes me want to drink wine. So that's a no. But this is great. Stuff like this is great. Liquor stores are starting to have a big selection, like a whole section. There are entire stores now. Like there's a place in Chicago called Benediction Dry Bar. It's 100% dedicated to non-alcoholic drinks, and it has all different types. So it's got your NA beers, it's got de-alcoholized wine, it's got your mocktails, but then it also has drinks that are not in any way intended to imitate a regular alcoholic drink. So for people that don't want that, they have alternatives, all different types of things. And it's really cool that, there's people that like to have different types of drinks. There's also, for those of you who don't have to worry about drug testing, there's like CBD drinks and stuff like that. That could get into a whole other conversation that I'm not trying to get into, but it's just neat that people are broadening their perspectives on how you can have a drink to relax and it doesn't have to make you messed up, which I think is a great idea. So I'll talk about this more at some other time, but if you would like a really tasty mocktail, they sell these at the Whole Foods or at your local, whatever liquor store has a good NA section, because I bet most of them do these days. So I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Well, y'all, this is one of those days with frustrating issues out of your control, which let's face it, that's most of the issues you come up with in trucking. Let's hope they're out of your control or something you didn't cause. In this case, I will say this is a rarity to have something like this happen, because GP's equipment is generally awesome and their maintenance. But I picked up a trailer this morning that was an empty, and it has some type of an air leak. So I didn't hear anything when I was first inspecting it. It seemed fine. Then as I was traveling, there were a couple of things I figured out once I stopped at a stop which wasn't too far from where I picked it up initially. I heard it, I'm like, and then I got an ABS light, and normally we all know the ABS light is take it under advisement, or when they're doing those like routine safety checks that some companies warn you about, like, hey, you know, make sure your stuff is on point because you're gonna get pulled into these weigh stations and they're gonna check. You know, then you check the ABS light, but a lot of times the ABS light is just a loose wire or something, but there's nothing wrong. Sometimes it is something wrong. In any case, I had the combination of that, and I had the light on the trailer that indicates the air pressures are not balanced in the tires. That is less concerning because with the cold weather that happens a lot, and they tend to even out during the drive as the tires get warmer, and especially if the trailer sat for a couple days, which it definitely did. When I tried to close it, everything was like kind of stiff and frozen, you know. I came to this pickup, I wasn't too far, so I just completed the trip here and then decided I would check everything again. And it's like, oh, I can't see anything, but I can still hear some type of an air leak. So we're waiting for maintenance, and you guys all know how that goes. And I would have liked to drive somewhere, but I was not given the go ahead to do that because they said, you know, your brakes might be working fine when you need to brake, but there's a concern that they could not release when you need them to release, and that could cause fire and it could cause other issues. And we would rather, if you end up having to go with the maintenance person back somewhere, that they're with you if that something does happen. So, you know, abundance of caution. Brakes, terrible weather, totally rational, I get it, and I'm not mad about it. It's just what has to be done sometimes. But what's real frustrating is just the way any driver knows, you wait for maintenance, it's going to be rough. You're going to wait a long time. And sometimes when you go to a Speedco or wherever you might go for your maintenance, sometimes you're going to wait, but you're going to wait like 2 or 3 times longer if you have to wait for them to come to you. So I guess it's good that I'm at this customer and I'm sitting in the lot, and if for some reason I were to get stuck here overnight, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I'm watching my clock tick down, and it's always hard to lose a day or half a day. But there's nothing I can do about it, and that's just one of the things you have to deal with. In trucking, there's always going to be maintenance things that come up. Like I said, because I work for a really good company that is on top of maintenance and has really good, newer equipment, these types of things don't happen very often, but they're going to happen. I will say what's nice is, like in the past when I've dealt with issues with trailers, there were situations where it was blatantly a thing where the other driver had just blown something off and left it, and I know that's not what this is. And that's a really nice thing, is like you get the sense that the other people that are handling the equipment are also concerned with doing things professionally and not messing things up. So it is always something. It's called the Murphy's Law of Trucking. It's the only law in trucking there is, guys, y'all. Whatever. I'll talk to you later. Hey everybody, just a quick end of day video. I'm pretty tired, and I didn't even get to drive that much today overall. I don't even know how many miles I covered today, because it was such a weird day, because I sat for 4 hours waiting for the Loves guy to get there and complete the work. And luckily it was nothing major, you know. And I was able to get back on the road, but while I was sitting there waiting, a pretty significant snowstorm began and continued, and it was like being in a snow globe. But it got worse when I was out on the road, and I was introduced to a term that for some reason I didn't know before. For all my years of living in winter climates, it was snow squall conditions. For those of you who know, you know, and for those who don't, it's basically where you get sudden whiteout conditions and temperatures dropping at the same time, which can cause the roads to get really icy and super dangerous. And it's really scary when you hit those whiteout times, which I did hit a few times. Thankfully they were short in duration, but it's really scary when it happens because it is very sudden. You know, I'm on I-80 going west through Nebraska, so it's incredibly flat. The one saving grace is that it's basically a straight line. So you're not worried about like the road winding, because if it was winding, it would be 1,000 times scarier, but you pretty much can just let yourself slow down when you need to and run with flashers on a good amount of the time, which I did. The max speed I was at today was around 52, 54. And that was when it was clear, obviously, when there was a long enough stretch where it was clear and the wind, you know, died down long enough for you to pick up a little bit of speed. But you still have to watch it. You can't let yourself get going too fast because you need to be prepared for a sudden whiteout like that. And there were still some trucks passing me and I was like, okay, see you in the ditch later. It's like, I don't understand the purpose of trying to run faster in those conditions. It's like being on the road at all is not ideal, but whatever. It was one of those things where I just wanted to get to where I knew I needed to stop. I wanted to cover a little bit of ground. I stopped before the sun was completely down. I stopped at this Love's. I'm in Aurora, Nebraska, which is a tiny Love's, and there's hardly any parking here to begin with. And I had to create a spot, which is sometimes what happens. And I've tried more and more to kind of minimize doing that, unless it's the type of place where there's plenty of room to do that without creating any kind of obstruction, obviously. I mean, you never want to be in the way, but especially when it's snowy and crappy, you don't want to be parked in areas. You want to anticipate the possibility of people sliding around. It's really bad out. It's really nasty out. These are some of the worst conditions I've driven in so far, and unfortunately I'm not loaded very heavy. I wish I was loaded heavier, so that kind of sucks, but at least it's loaded in the nose of the trailer pretty much, so that's better for controlled purposes. And just taking it slow, running with my flashers on if needed. I saw a great post by Shelby from Happiness by the Mile. She's been posting more recently on Instagram, and it's really cool to see it. She's someone who really inspired me to start trucking. She has a ton of experience of winter driving because she runs a lot through the western states and the mountains and snowy weather, and she's been posting about that for years and years on her YouTube channel. And she said one of the things that she suggested I thought was great, that if you're I love it that she's sensitive to the fact that there are inexperienced drivers out here, and some truckers hate on that, and it's like, well, everybody starts somewhere. I understand the frustration with like oversaturation of drivers in a bad market. That's understandable, but like, don't hate on people because they wanted to do the same thing that you wanted to do. Like, anyway, I don't mean to harp, but long story short is she said, if you know that you're kind of holding up traffic, I forget the term she used, but it was kind of funny. Oh, I think she said if there's like a conga line behind you, she said pull over and let people pass you. Instead of saying get off the road if you're too slow, she's like, you know, if you're still learning and you're uncomfortable in those conditions and you see a line forming behind you, just get off the road, let people pass, and then get back on. Like, that seems like reasonable advice. And obviously, if it's bad enough, you're gonna hopefully get off the road if you don't feel like you can handle it safely. It can be hard to know where that line is. We all are in a process of learning when we're new at this, and those of us, I mean, I really feel for people who come from climates where they don't encounter this kind of weather ever, because really the key is not going faster than you feel confident going for your skill level, and not making any sudden movements. No sudden braking, no sudden accelerating, no sudden jerking of the wheel. Like when you change lanes, you do it twice as slow as you normally would. I don't know. All that stuff. I do know. I don't know why I said I don't know. Yeah, I am dreading getting back on the road in the morning, but I need to. So what are you going to do? And actually, I believe I-80 was closed west of here, not far west of here. There, you know, I wish more people would use the CB. Apparently that was such a way that truck drivers used to help each other and have camaraderie and brotherhood, and now it's not a thing anymore. And I think that really sucks, because I did hear a couple people come on the CB, and I never use it because I don't feel confident, because I'm like, well, am I saying the right thing? Who's gonna hear me? I've never used it, not once. I'm listening to hear what other people have to say, but it feels awkward when no one else hardly uses it. So anybody who has experience with CBs, say something in the comments. Let us know what the right stuff is to say. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's awkward about that. Should I get on there and tell jokes? Probably not. Not in these conditions. Ain't nothing funny about this. All right. I will catch you guys later. I hope you're in safer, warmer conditions than I am, and don't you worry. I will be fine. Hello, my friends. I'm just finishing up my rather excessive amount of makeup. You can never have too much. I'm chilling in a quite disgusting Love's in Indiana. I mean, many of them in Indiana are pretty disgusting. Let's face it. Man, being all negative. I'm sorry, I don't mean to do that. But yeah, I am just finishing up some makeups just for my own entertainment, and then I'm kind of happy that I happen to be right next to a blue beacon, and my truck is a block of salt, so I've been wanting so badly to wash it, and the way my schedule has been lately, I have just not had time to make that stop. So I'm really looking forward to having a clean truck, and yeah, that's about it. I feel pretty good because man, when I work the way I've been working lately, and also the weather wears you down, and driving in the bad weather can be extra tiring at times. I really wish I could have made this delivery today, and technically I have hours on my clock I could use and then run recaps after this. It's one of those customers that you can't reach to find out if you can deliver early, and then my appointment is for 11:30 tomorrow. So this is an example of how sometimes things get set up in a way that you can't maximize your time. Unfortunate, but you know, this is where we're at. So we're just trying to stay positive and make the most of it like we always do, because that's trucking. I'll catch you guys later. This is how I'm getting exercise on my 34 at the truck stop. Just going for a walk on this frontage road, and I'm grateful that it's here because there's not much traffic on it at all. And it's pretty easy for me to get out of the way. I just like step over here when I need to if there's a car coming from down this way. But I'm just, walking laps. I have my hat and gloves. I gotta wear gloves because my hands get cold. And I'm just carrying my hat because I got kind of warm. For all of you moms out there, dads and moms, put your hat on. It's actually not cold though. It's like 30s, mid 30s, which feels like nothing when you've been in below zero weather for the last week or two, week and a half. But this is the truck stop, and at first I was walking in this grassy area kind of behind the trucks, but there was so much dog shit back there. It's just, you have to look down the whole time. I don't want to be doing that. It's not good for my neck, and it's not enjoyable. So I am wearing my reflective vest. Per my recent preachy video about truck stop safety, I'm really trying to practice what I preach on that front. And this is how I'm getting some exercise. So this is one of the things I do on my 34. I do have kettlebells in my side box. That guy got a little close. I should probably be closer to this curb. I mean, I really try to watch myself, especially if I'm doing something like this that's distracting. Yeah, sometimes I'll do some kettlebells in my truck. I might do a little bit of that today too, just to get a little extra exercise, because I've been having long days of driving and feeling very demotivated by the weather when I'm not driving, and tired from driving, and it's not a good combination because I desperately need exercise. That's the conundrum when you're a truck driver and you do long days of driving. You want those miles, and I'm saying this for people who are thinking about trucking or new at it or in school. You have to find ways to get movement in when you can, because it's really hard, and the sitting will kill you, literally. It's hard on your heart, it's hard on your circulatory system, your lungs, it's hard on everything. It's bad for your bladder and your digestive organs, really. So anyway, back to walking and listening to Morbid. This is the unfortunate time of the day when it's a day where your makeup turned out really good and you're really happy with it, and you have to wash it off and you wish you didn't. I love a day like that. For anyone who is as into makeup as I am, this eye look was done with the Melt Cosmetics Beetlejuice Waiting Room palette, which I kind of forgot I had until I saw a Bailey Sarian video, and I recognized the colors, and I'm like, I have that palette. The look she did was totally different. It was like a gray and black and silver type of look, but I obsessed. Love it so much. Hello from the glow of my laptop. I'm gonna spam you guys again and tell you that if you get frozen meals for your truck, to nuke because you're too lazy to cook or whatever your reason is. I'm gonna tell you again, you gotta get these Gordon Ramsay meals. I'm eating the chicken pot pie. It's a different style. It's a more modern style of chicken pot pie, which is versus the one that is like a real pie crust. This is a puff pastry on top of the traditional chicken pot pie ingredients. It's so good, like for real. I should do a commercial for this shit. Anyway, I'm currently in Pennsylvania. What a beautiful state. It was you know, it's always a little bit of an annoying drive, but it wasn't too bad just because, you know, hills, mountains, etc., heavy load, but it wasn't too crazy. It's just that thing where you play cat and mouse with other drivers and you don't want to because you're not trying to be annoying, but it's also like somebody who's loaded way lighter than you is trying to get in front of you and they stay too close in front of you and then you're picking up speed and you don't want to be on their ass. It's that whole game. So it's kind of like that today a little bit, but it wasn't bad. But what is kind of frustrating is I had enough time on this load, like in a good way. I'm glad I had as much time as I have, although it's not great paycheck wise, but it enabled me to stop way short of my delivery in New Jersey because there's no parking anywhere near there. It's like I totally could have made it there today if I had had a delivery time today, but then where would I have parked? Because of course they don't allow parking at the customer. And this is like one of those things, if I could get a organized effort together of truck drivers, like I would like to see legislation passed that required all of these huge DCs to provide parking for truck drivers. The fact that they don't is crazy and it's a no-brainer. However, we all know it all comes back to the same thing. How many drivers ruin it for the rest of us by being slobs? But I kind of feel like if some of these DCs were to like start creating spaces for drivers, because drivers wouldn't want to lose the privilege of going there, and they could make it monitored enough in those lots to like not allow drivers to get away with the usual fuck shit. It'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I don't know, just a thought, but they don't want to do that and they can afford to not do that. Anyway, yeah, so I'm delivering first thing tomorrow in New Jersey. I'm uncomfortably close to New York City. I told my dispatcher, I was like, don't send me to New York City, please. And he's like, no, I'm not. I don't really have much else to say. It's been kind of a dreary day. I don't know about you guys. I'm wondering if a lot of you are feeling like this, that it's that crappy early time of the year with the weather just being dreary. That's a weird word. Oh my God. Rural juror, dreary. Yeah, it's a dreary day. It's a dreary period of time. It's rainy everywhere. It's like, but hey, you know what? Let's be thankful because it's not freezing rain where I'm at. It's like 40 degrees, almost 50 degrees today. It's like too warm. So I have nothing to complain about. I got to this truck stop real nice and early today and got a parking spot. Now I'm just doing some reading and I'm enjoying my pot pie. And I highly recommend it. You should get yourself some of those Gordon Ramsay meals if you're another frozen dinner consumer like me. They're real good, like way above average. All right, I'll talk to you later. Okay, I just want to tell you guys one other thing really quick while I'm thinking about it. It's been on my mind on and off, but I think I've kind of pushed it out of my mind. I just saw a video on the channel Married to Trucking that is about the case of the driver, Gary Clark, who was killed at the Pilot in White Pine, Tennessee. And apparently there's some security footage that the police are working with. So hopefully they're a step closer to finding someone. I don't know that that's new news, but this channel is getting the word out for more people to pay attention to the case, which I think is really good. But I just wanted to tell you guys that yesterday, sorry, I switched screens because that red light was weird. Someone walked right out in front of me in a truck stop yesterday. It felt like too close of a call, and it was crazy because I just made this video and it's been on my mind. Like, I shouldn't even talk about this on a video because I'm going to jinx myself or something. I stopped at a truck stop in, is it like Hobstadt, Indiana or something like that? This guy walked out at full speed from between trucks without looking at all, wearing dark clothing, and it was raining, so the ground was reflective. And I feel like when it's dark and rainy, that's like the worst for being able to miss something because there's so much more light kind of reflecting back at you from everywhere. Dude, it was so scary. This guy was only a few feet in front of my truck, and thank God I saw him because I was looking for a parking spot. And I actually pulled into the truck stop and I was debating whether to fuel or park and then just fuel in the morning because I wasn't sure how many parking spaces were left. So I decided to pull through and drive around and see, which I did, and then I ended up going back to the fuel island. But as I was driving around the lot, right when I pulled into the lot, it was the back end of the lot, this guy just walks out at full speed, not looking at all. He's wearing a headset, so I don't know if he was on the phone or something, but I don't think he was. And I felt so bad because I got so close to him. I was looking at this parking spot that was next to me as I was passing it because I was looking to see if there was like a bobtail backed in there. You know how people love to do that. If you're going to park a bobtail in a full-size truck spot, at least be less crappy about it and pull the bobtail all the way to the front so that people don't think that's an open spot. That drives me nuts anyway. But also just don't do that because it's rude. So I was pulling in, and then I look over, and as I look back, this guy walks right in front of my truck. And there were several other people I saw just after that. It was like so many people that were just walking through this lot, and nobody was wearing reflective gear, and it's dark and it's raining out. Please, I don't understand why people think that it somehow makes you look like a novice to wear reflective vests or whatever, but like, why would you not? Why would you risk it? It makes me, I don't understand it, dude. It makes me think of like how you think it's cool to smoke when you're a teenager, and then like 10 years later you can't kick it because you're so cool now. How cool are you when you get hit by a truck? Because you walked out in front of the truck without even looking, and you aren't even wearing anything reflective, so the driver couldn't see you because it's dark outside. Just put on a reflective vest. They're super cheap. You can get them everywhere. Put on a reflective hat. Put on something reflective so that people can see you. No one thinks you're cool anyway. None of us are cool. We're just a bunch of slobs out here driving our trucks. Like, you don't need to be cool. You need to be alive. Okay, that's the end of my rant. That just, it scared the shit out of me. This guy was so close to the front of my truck. It was just so weird because I just have been talking about this, and it felt like a close call. It really did. And it's like he came out of nowhere. That's why when you walk out from between trucks, you stop for a second and look both ways. This guy didn't do that at all because he was not at all aware of his surroundings. And thank goodness I stopped when I did. Anyway, okay, that's enough. I'll talk to you later.